Donna Hudson, welcome to Green Borders. We have some questions from our readers, and our first question is, how long has Desire to Aspire been established?
Okay, Desire to Inspire was founded in 2009. When I was made redundant, I decided to start my own business, basically doing the work that I currently do. I was already doing it in the mentoring roles in my permanent employment, but the 2009 launch was of my own company and doing it.
Desire to Aspire?
Yes.
Where does the name come from?
Originally it was called Yes You Can Empowerment, and somebody advised me to change the name because at the time things wasn't going very well with Obama, and I didn't choose it because of his saying yes you can, but somebody actually saw the link and was saying that if I'm going to be talking to young people, you might get a little smart aleck who would turn around and say, well, you're saying yes you can, as a way of encouraging me to pursue my goals, but look at Obama right now. So they told me to change it, so I sort of had to think, okay, what could be used that is similar, and Desire to Aspire just came.
Where did the idea come from?
Well, like I said, before I was made redundant, I've been doing mentoring roles and youth work with young people. And when I was mentoring, the mentoring was a one-to-one position. So the young people, for example, may have been referred to me because they either weren't attending lessons or they were regularly misbehaving in the class. And I sort of found that when I was talking to them on a one-on-one, I sort of felt that I was getting somewhere with them. But then the following week or a few weeks down the line, when I speak to them again, it's like we're going over the same thing over and over and over. And it sort of dawned on me that even though I'm speaking to them on a one-on-one and they seem to understand what it is that I'm saying, the importance of behaving in class, the importance of coming to college, even though they understood it when I was talking to them on a one-on-one, they obviously have their own environment and their own friends who have more influence, and so it's like all that hard work just flew out of the window basically, and every time they came back to me we're just starting over again. So the idea came to have a forum of young people, so within that forum they're creating their own environment, so it's not me one-to-one talking to them, they're actually talking to each other. I'm giving them scenarios and activities for them to sort of challenge each other, but ultimately everything's coming from them. So because it's their own group, they now, when they leave the group, can decide whether they want to use the information that they've learned in this new environment or go back to what they know. But it's not one person trying to tell them, it's a whole forum of young people. So that's where the idea came from.
I think you've touched on it in a little bit, Donna, in your answer, but the next question is, who do you help?
I help mainly disaffected and hard to engage young people. So that's the ones who are at risk of being excluded from school, the ones who have actually been excluded from school, young offenders, those who are considered to be NEET, which is not in education, employment or training, and sort of any young person who's just hard to reach, in inverted commas.
How do these people find you?
Well, it's more me trying to find them. So I would tell schools about what I do, and they would then decide whether they want me to do work for them. Likewise with organisations that work with the NEET group and young offenders.
Do you think perhaps a particular group, maybe let's just take young offenders, why do you think they feel so disaffected?
Partly they have wrong expectations. So you know, everybody has goals, and everybody has, you know, dreams that they want to achieve. And with the name Desire to Inspire, the desire part is your dream. To aspire is actually motivating you to actually accomplish it. But a lot of young people, they have the dream, but they're unrealistic in their approach to actually achieving it. So for some, like a young offender, for example, they may want to take a shortcut to achieve their goal. So they don't see the logic behind getting an education, doing a 9-to-5 job, and working properly to actually get the money to get X, Y, Z. Instead, they want the fast life, and they don't want to go through that process. So they've been unrealistic and not actually weighing up the consequences of having a fast life, what can ultimately happen in the long run.
So what other people do you help apart from young offenders?
Well, the NEET group, so that's those who are not in education, employment or training. So they're young people, for example.
What age are we talking about?
Well, if a young person can leave school at the age of 13. So I work with the age groups of 13 to 25. So the NEET group mainly is 16 upwards, and who've left school and they ain't doing anything at all. They're the ones, and that I work with. And you know, some of them, the root reasons why they ain't doing anything is because they had a hard time when they were at school. So they hate the educational system, they hate any form of training or anything basically that's going to help them to better themselves.
It's going to be very, very hard for these people to find jobs, isn't it?
Yeah. So
and how would you help them get on the ladder of employment?
Well,
because obviously that's one of the aims, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, well, it will have to be down to going back to the name again, Desire to Inspire. So it's really getting them to understand that, you know, you may come across hurdles and obstacles in trying to pursue your desire, but if you want it so badly, you're going to have to push yourself to accomplish what it is that you want. Because if you don't, you're always going to stay where you are. So it's a lot of motivation around what I do. So to get them into employment, I wouldn't necessarily be helping them to do CVs and stuff. You know, there's someone else that is specialised in doing that. My thing is more about, you've done your CV, but are you confident enough to actually, you know, go to an employer?
Is it a motivational role?
Yeah, more or less. So I will encourage you, or encourage them I should say, to actually feel confident about what they're applying for and to be realistic with regards to their expectations. Meaning that if they send their application off, don't believe that because you've sent it off, you're going to get that particular job. These are the things that they have to be taught. Because you can set your expectations up so high that if you don't get, you know, this particular role, the one role that you've applied for, you'd be devastated and then say, I'll never apply again, which is an unrealistic expectation.
How does Desire to Aspire get funded?
It's my own private company. So it's funded by, you know, the schools and organisations that pay for my services.
And what's been the best achievement of Desire to Aspire thus far?
I think the best achievement is working with the young people who didn't think that they could actually achieve their goals, and to actually work with them to actually encourage them to pursue it, and for them to also realise, you know, to keep going even if they come against opposition. Because a lot of young people ain't taught that. I mean, you don't get taught that in school. You know, the educational system punishes you if you do wrong. So in other words, a lot of young people have this expectation that if they're going to do something, they have to get it right. And my thing is, if you're learning something, you can't expect to get it right because you're learning. Part of the learning is that you'll make mistakes. But if you make mistakes, you don't beat yourself up. You just say, okay, what have I done that I didn't understand? And then you make amends and then move forward.
So, would guardians or parents or schools contact you if they see a particular child or a young teenager has got a problem?
Well, not really, because how it is
How does it work?
I would go into a school,
right,
and the school would select the young people to attend the forum.
And
because I'm not based anywhere, so
okay. And what reaction do you get from the schools when you contact them?
Some schools will say we don't have the funding for it. Some schools might say they already do things in-house. That's the main responses that I get. Either they do it in-house.
Are you working with schools at the moment? Some schools?
I'm currently working with one school, yeah.
Right. Okay. And does Desire to Aspire team up within the other organisations?
Currently linked up with a charity called CEN, which is Community Empowerment Network, and they work with young people who are at risk or who have been excluded from school, and they do a lot of advocacy work to get them back into like mainstream school. So I've worked with one of their workers and delivered a workshop within a school that they do mentoring in.
And is there any upcoming things that Desire to Aspire are undertaking at the moment that you'd like to tell Green Borders about, Donna?
Okay, well, I've currently got a promotion on, which is basically I'm offering what I do for free for 3 schools and 2 youth organisations that works with either young offenders or the NEAT group. The promotion will start March, so it starts from Thursday, and it's basically the first 3 schools to get back to me.
And how can they contact you? On your website?
Yeah, on the website, yeah, www.desiretoinspire.co.uk.
And what gives you the desire to do this, Donna?
I have the desire to see young people achieve much more than what a lot of them are not achieving. It saddens me that so many lack aspirations and just not ambitious enough to pursue their goals. So what keeps me going is I believe that, you know, as long as I have access to those young people, I can make a difference.
You can give them the desire to aspire?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Donna.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.